Okay, a treat for you guys. The saga of The Best Man, which started in 1999. I saw it at Grambling University.
Oh.
I wasn't going to Grambling. I was going to Louisiana Tech. But The Best Man, the movie...
You were on a date?
No.
Because that's a great movie to take somebody on a date
Well,
to.
we went as a crew.
Okay.
All of us went as a crew to see The Best Man at Grambling because they were showing it there. They showed it at the school, and we was all going crazy. We didn't realize how big the movie was going to be. And it's basically spawned a whole Best Maniverse. Maniverse. I'll say that, but a whole Best Man MCU. We have television shows, we have sequels, and now we have books written by the architect of the Best Man world, Malcolm D. Lee, who is joining us on Higher Learning today to talk about his foray into authorship. The Best Man Unfinished Business was released on July 1st, 2025, and it's continuing where The Best Man, the final chapters left off. It is your debut novel. It follows Harper, Jordan, and Robin as they try to establish new lives away from the hurts of the past and come to realize that some of their relationships are impossible to break away from. Malcolm D. Lee joins us on Higher Learning today. Malcolm, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get right into it. Why is the mythology, the story of The Best Man so durable? Why are books a part of this now?
That's a good question. Thank you for having me. Number one, I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I mean, why is it? Listen, I think that for my generation and in the generations that have followed, and even the generations prior, they feel like they're seeing themselves on the screen, represented in the screen in an authentic way. I know for myself, when I was trying to break into the filmmaking industry, I wasn't seeing representations of Black men in particular that I thought were authentic and true to the experiences that I had as an educated Black man or one who was trying to get educated. And so, most of the brothers that were depicted on screen who were educated were, they had forgotten their ethnicity at the door. They checked it. They said, I'm not really Black. I'm just kind of, I'm OJ, right? And so they're in that whole they're in that whole space of like, you have to, if you're educated somehow, you have to like speak the King's English all the time and not cut up with your boys. And so that wasn't my experience. I said, okay, let's do that. And then when it came to time to continue to tell the story, I thought we were done after Best Man Final Chapters. It's incredibly difficult to mount a movie or a television series, and to get all those actors back together is a feat, right? And then there's budgetary constraints, and there's all kinds of demands from the studio and network and whatnot. And I was like, okay, we're done, finished, complete. But I've always loved the written word, and I've always fantasized. I'm sorry, I don't want to say always fantasized, but I have long fantasized about being a novelist and writing a novel. And so I said, okay, let me try my hand at this. Right? These are characters that are already established. They have backstory. So let me, give a shot at this. And the end result, I'm very happy with, because in a way, you think you know these characters, right? But you're going to get to know them in a very much more intimate way because you get to get inside their brains. You get to get inside what they feel, how they grew up, what their backstory is that's even beyond what we know.
So this is book one.
Correct.
It's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, do you know the direction that you plan on taking this story? Or are you going to maybe wait for audience feedback to see how they respond to it and then maybe adjust in that way?
No, we have a pretty clear idea where we're going. Now, we had a clear idea where we were going the first time, with this first book. And I will say that things changed as we, came to rewrite and edit. One, because I had gone to Ghana to do some research on the Robin's journey,
right?
Because she now has moved to Ghana. Two, because you just have to, things change as you get to the end of it, right? And then you say, okay, because I've done this, now you got to like fix what's happening in the front or enhance or shape and shift and what have you. And then what happens also is the story and the characters tell you where they want to go. So the idea was to wrap up the trilogy, well, this love triangle, Robin, Harper, and Jordan in book one, and then start to go into the stories of Lance and his new wife, Jasmine, and Quentin and Shelby and Murch and Candace and their journeys. And we're going to do that, but as fate would have it, we're going to still talk about and dedicate chapters to the POVs of all three, Harper, Robin, and Jordan as well. And then we have some, loose idea of where we're going. And yeah, there may be some influence from fans, but I try not to do that. I try to be very clear about where I'm going and the story that I want to tell. And my co-author Jane Allen and I are have a pretty good idea about what we're doing.
What can you do in the books that you can't do in the movies?
What's first of all, you can use all five senses. You get to not only see and hear, but you get to smell, you get to feel, you get to taste. All five senses are at work. Number one. Number two.
So expand on that. What do you mean?
Well, if I'm describing something, right? If I'm for instance, Robin's cooking, for instance, right? Yeah. You can get a sense of that in a film or television, but there's the detail in which I'm describing things.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can't really get that in a television show or a movie, particularly if you can't dedicate a whole bunch of time to it.
Right.
There are a lot more time constraints in film and television, right? And there's act breaks and lean forward ability and making sure people have propulsion and whatnot. I'm just trying to tell a story. I'm a lot more free to storytelling in the novel form. Also, as I said before, you get to be inside the brains of these characters. You get to know backstory without having to do whole flashbacks. You can write it in a word. It's very freeing. I will say that. And here's the other thing. This book takes place in 4 different cities, 2 different continents. That is virtually, cost prohibitive.
It'd have to be a
with
Marvel
movie or
movie.
television.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And they ain't giving me no Marvel money to make Best Man.
Right.
Okay, kind of piggybacking on the question I was asking you before of if you might change the book based on audience influence. It's interesting Vance said the best manosphere, because I remember that there was some criticism, we'll call it constructive criticism, in the beginning after the first movie about the women's portrayal in the movie. And but if I've seen it all. I've watched the movie, I've seen the series, I'm following these people. They feel like family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch, the women have evolved. And
Sure.
I'm just wondering, how you maybe took that constructive criticism and applied that to the final chapters, to the second movie, and maybe even into this book. Because there's a moment in Best Man Holiday where I was even like, ooh, is that me? Where, shut up.
Which character at what moment?
Oh, it's definitely Jordan. And
Okay.
I'm definitely Jordan. And it's when she's talking to Eddie Cibrian. And that's shut up, man. I was in an interracial marriage at one point. It's not that. It's not that. He says something to her along the lines of, you act like you don't need me. And she's like, I don't. And I said, oh my God, is that me? And but it was, that's the beauty of the movie, where I feel like you can compare yourself to some of these characters. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, but I really want to know how you maybe took some of that feedback and applied it to, like I said, the movie, the chapters, and even this book.
Yeah, I'll address that in a couple of ways. One, I think that it's just natural growth and of me as a person, as someone who's married, who has kids, who has lived life. That can give greater perspectives. But number two, and I don't know if this is the most important, but just to let you know the impetus behind The Best Man, I was very much inspired by Waiting to Exhale, right? Where I felt like the portrayal of men, black men in that movie was not favorable.
We've
right?
talked, yeah.
Not dudes I recognized, not dudes I would hang out with, not dudes I would associate with. And so I really wanted to tell a story about 4 black men who were friends and layer them, and make sure that I was centering them. And we didn't use the word center at the time, but it was going to be about the brothers, right? and their POVs. And I honestly, I didn't even expect women to come to see Best Man. I was writing it for dudes, right? But of course, I'm so stupid. Like, of course, women are going to come see a movie about a wedding, right?
Right.
Like, they want to. Like, wedding. I just thought wedding movies are popular. I didn't know they were driven by women. At the time, I know that they're popular. So I said, okay, I'm going to send her a story about four black men in a reunion story and around a wedding. And of course, it's about, somebody slept with my bride, right? And so, for me, that was the impetus. That was the story that I was telling about these four guys. We have a 10-minute, spades playing scene, right? And the women were tuning in, even more so than the men, but the men could relate to what was being talked about and what was being said. So in terms of growth, yeah, I wanted to expand on the women's stories. And then, when we got to final chapters, I partnered with a female showrunner to, kind of help with that perspective. And same thing with the book and grabbing Jane Allen, because it would be stupid of me to partner with a novelist that wasn't a woman, a black woman, and give me that unique perspective. Even though I'm surrounded by black women and very influenced by black women. But to have somebody work with me in the trenches on that was the smart thing to do.
What are the chances that we see what we are reading in these books on the screen at some point? That's what
What are
everybody's
the
going to want to know. That's
chances?
what people are going to want to know, Malcolm.
I understand. I get it. Look, as I said,
Malcolm,
it's
these niggas
incredibly
ain't trying to
difficult.
read. They're not trying to read.
No,
Shut
no,
up.
no, that's not true.
Malcolm,
No, that's not
they want to
true.
know
That's true.
when it's coming to Peacock.
There are plenty of women in particular that are coming out to read these books. Women are much more thoughtful than brothers, right? And
Yes.
I will say, brothers.
Look at Malcolm.
Brothers
trying to make up for what he did in The Best Man. Don't try to get him back on your side now, Malcolm.
I love The Best Man.
I've watched it all.
Okay?
I've
and
seen
I'm not
them
even.
evolve.
I'm not. There was nothing I would change about that first movie.
You know what's
at
funny?
all.
It's funny that Malcolm went, because this is so funny to me. So I was in science class and we were talking about Waiting to Exhale. And my science teacher, Miss Watry, she goes, I hate that movie. I was like, whoa. She was like, that movie made our brothers look so bad, like we ain't nothing but drunks and skunks. I was like, wow, I never even heard that before, right? Miss Watry felt that way. And somewhere, Malcolm was on the set of a Spike Lee movie working with his people and was like, you know what?
I got y'all.
I got something for them. And then boom, 99. The Best Man drops. That's what I'm talking about, Malcolm. Way to stand up for us, brother.
Hey, no. Listen, that's part of my mission. That is part of my mission. My film production company is called Black Male Productions, MALED, right? Because brothers have been vilified for years, for decades, for centuries, and I'm trying to change that narrative. I'm trying to, number one, first of all, uplift all black people, but black men in particular, right? Like I want to normalize Black life in America, right? And I want to, make sure that our humanity is highlighted, and our universality of the human experience is highlighted. But answer to your question, will there be? And let me also say, if brothers don't want to read, they can also listen. They can get the audio book, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they can have these, but they can drive in their car, listen to it, and they can also have a little sip of bourbon while they're doing it. Now I do because that's Sable bourbon. I'll get to that in a second. But I will say this: the brothers got to weigh in on this conversation. Again, I've made this the first Best Man for brothers, right?
Yeah.
And I need them to weigh in because there's going to be a lot of debate about how trifling Harper is and how this is why this and this is why that. And I need brothers to be like, wait a minute, you get into the psyche of this man. Like, now, I'm not saying every brother's going to relate to or defend Harper, but there's going to be some aspects that they're going to relate to. They're going to be like, yeah, I've been there before. I've been there before, and I'm going to tell you, sister, why this is and why you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. So will it turn into a television show or a movie? I got this first book to promote, and I've got 2 more books to write. If Universal comes to me and says, let's talk, I'll listen.
Okay.
I mean, the beauty of what you're doing is it's just such great conversation and back and forths to have. I mean, you even brought up Waiting to Excel, and we talked about that on this podcast. And so I think
I
that
like the movie.
that's also, in addition to the story and the characters, it's just the conversation is just so rich, just talking about the dynamics of it all, which then now I'm going to ask you something else. And I know you're promoting this, and I'm sure you've been asked before, but the more we step into their world, it makes me want to go back to the beginning. Have you ever thought about having uh, it all, like what happened in college and all of that playing out, where we have younger characters playing the characters that we know and love now? Something like that come out, because I would love to see how it all started.
Do you think that would be something that most audiences would be into?
Hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
I really
So
do. I'm so
the answer
curious.
the answer to your question is yes, I have thought about it.
I
Mm.
mean, I want to see. I think when somebody has a good story, and now I'm curious to know, well, how do we get here? That, I mean, that's,
Right.
I attribute that to you. But
Well,
I'm very curious.
Hold on for a second. Malcolm?
wait. Before you ask that question, I will say with this book, you will get a lot more backstory than you've ever gotten before.
Right.
Okay.
I will tell
Okay.
you that.
Malcolm,
Yes, sir.
is it possible that the show that Rachel just kicked around, you actually went out with and then were told that there was no audience for it?
No,
Okay. Just making sure,
no, I
because
didn't.
there is an audience for it. And there's also a bunch of young Black actors out there right now that people would love to see it. And they, she's got to
Is that
have
right? Hmm,
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
She's got to have it had a second life on Netflix, and
We've got
Yeah.
Forever, the success of
for the
Forever.
success for forever. I think that
Love Forever.
right.
Yeah.
Love that show.
Yeah. So I think there would be people that will watch it, but don't let them tell you that they're not trying to. They out there. Yeah. Came out.
Don't you worry. I'm this. I will say that the best man is a little bit the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful that that's the case. That people are want to know about these characters and want to know more about them and feel like they're their friend group.
For sure.
And it's so I'm very blessed that's been the response and that I've been able to build upon it. And with the collaboration of both the studios and the networks as well as the actors who just embody those roles very well. And so when people read this book, they're going to be able to visualize
Mm.
very clearly
Yeah.
who those characters are and how they sound and everything else. And I'm giving you not only a literary but a cinematic experience within the book.
I want to ask you a question. The original Best Man has in it personal friend of mine, Tay Diggs, Nia Long, Morris Chestnut, Harold Perrineau, Terrence Howard, Sanaa Lathan, Monica Calhoun, Melissa D'Souza, and a young, maybe in her first or second role, uh, uh,
Regina Hall.
Regina Hall, maybe in her first or second role, maybe
It,
something
it
like
was
that.
her first.
It was her
It was her
first role.
first.
So this might be the best looking cast of all time. Okay, I gotta ask you this: just how much fucking was going on this set, Malcolm? It, there has, because I know Tay. Just how much was going down on this set? When you look at this, this is the top of the top, man. These are the ones. When people talk about '90s fine, Best Man and Love Jones, you can't leave Love Jones out. Can't leave Love Jones out. These are some
100%.
fantastic, beautiful Black people all in the same movie together for X amount of months. How much did you as a director have to wrangle and like snatch people out of each other's trailers and stuff like that?
Let me just say they are a very beautiful cast. Okay,
Yes.
there was none of that going on. I would say like every
Sorry, man.
if there was I knew nothing about it. I will tell you this in all seriousness.
Yeah.
We were all very excited to be embarking on this journey of making this movie. Right, we were all in New York around the same age, around the same level of celebrity. I mean, I wasn't, but Tay, Harold, Nia were all like, in a certain place. Morris, everyone was like in a similar space, and it was the first time, and they will say this themselves, that here were 8 trained actors who were getting to play real characters, getting to play real people. And they were so excited to do that. In fact, the day that we had a great rehearsal period, a 2-week rehearsal period, and when we were about to shoot the following week, we all held hands and we prayed. And Terrence said ask God to bless this production and let the world see that Black people were not who we were said that we were portrayed to be, and that this film was going to help shatter those stereotypes. It was something, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something in that vein, and there was just a good energy about what the material was and what we were going to do. And I knew, or I felt, or was my intention, that we were going to make a classic movie. That was all the intention was. Now I know that's like, oh wow, you're going to intend to make classic. Yes, that was my intention, to make something that was going to stand the test of time. Did I expect us to do sequels and television shows and books? No, not at all. That was not the intention. It was the intention to make a great movie.
And you did. Has the cast read the book?
Yes, not all of them. I know that Tay, Harold, and Morris, my partners in Sable Bourbon, have. But I don't know. But everyone else has gotten the book.
Tay can
I don't
read?
know if they've read it. They can. Yes, he can.
Tay can read?
Well, it takes him a while.
Yeah.
It takes him a while.
Because he has to sound out the words, right?
Yeah.
Why you do
That's
your friends
terrible.
like this?
Wow.
Why you do your friends? It's hard to be Van's friend. It's
I'll
hard.
say.
He's the most talented guy I know. He's ridiculously talented.
Wait, tell us about
It's
the
nuts.
bourbon. Tell
Yeah,
us about the bourbon.
We want to hear about it.
Oh, Sable Bourbon. Yeah, it's a venture between the four of us, as I said, Morris, Tay, Harold, and Bespoken Spirits. We're the owners of the brand. It was Harold's idea after Best Man Final Chapters, but where each scene where we had the fellas gathering, there was always some kind of brown spirit that was being imbibed and shared amongst the friends. And so he was like, well, why don't we make our own? And so we're like, yeah, okay, let's try it. So we went out to Bespoken Spirits and said, okay, we'd like to do this. And everything from the juice itself to the labeling to the title to the packaging was all, we all were in agreement of what it should be and what it should represent. And it's bottled in brotherhood. That's our our slogan.
Yeah.
And it's a symbol of our friendship and our love for one another.
Last question for me. In 2017, you made a film that had a $19 million budget and ended up making $140 million. That, my friends, is a bona fide blockbuster. That's the kind of thing that gets people promoted and also the type of thing that spawns sequels. It's a bona fide blockbuster. The movie was Girls Trip, and the question is, when will there be another one? Girls Trip 2. Is it happening?
We are working on the script as we speak. We feel like we've got an idea and a pathway forward. Because once you make a movie like that, obviously the instinct is like, oh, let's make another one, right?
Yeah.
And we had the bar was not set that high for Girls Trip. It was like, oh, the expectation was like, okay, it's that looks like it's going to be good, and it was beyond people's expectations. Now their expectations are like sky high. So can you meet that? And the only reason for us to do it is if we can't meet that expectation, we don't need to do it. So we feel like we could meet this expectation and knock out the park with another one. But there's no guarantees. But we're certainly working on that.
Would love that.
I would love it. It seems like it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's a $40 million first week, easy work.
And it could help out some of this drama that's going on. This is my last question. You were just down at Essence Fest. That movie centers around Essence Fest.
Yes.
I've heard people in the criticism. One, I want to know, you had boots on the ground. What were your thoughts about Essence Fest this year? And since the movie centers around Essence Fest and shows the ins and outs, a lot of people have been saying, or that I've seen talk on social media, is that was when it was at its prime and it's so different now. Can you speak a little to that? And I don't know, maybe the second movie could bring it back. Not that it ever left, but that's just what some of the talk is.
I had a good time in Essence. It seemed like the population or the attendance might have been down a bit, and I've heard that it was down a little bit, but it all seemed like a good time. And there's great activations everywhere. There were great celebrity endorsements and like I said, activations that were there. The concerts that I went to were fantastic. So I mean, I didn't see them all, but it's. I think there may be a little bit of a transition, but from what I mean, and of course, this is a rough year financially for a lot of
Sure.
people, right? Economically, it's tough all around. So it stands to reason that there'd be less attendance there, but it seems just as robust as it has ever been. I mean, in terms of what Essence presented.
The feeling. All right, go get the book Malcolm D. Lee with Jane Allen, The Best Man, Unfinished Business. It was released last week, wherever books are sold.
That's correct.
Wherever books are sold.
And the thing is that I'm hearing, they're selling out everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I heard, like Jane she has a ritual that she goes to every time a book comes out, where she goes to New York. She has hot chocolate from a certain place. She goes to Barnes and Noble in around 42nd Street or Times Square. She went there. Day one, sold out.
Wow.
On Barnes and Noble. So now I'm not saying it's sold everywhere, but get you a copy.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a good sign. My book, you could find it there. It's not sold out. Mine is, you can get it. I like the fact that you're an elevated brother because you did not put that S on Barnes and Noble. I was waiting to see if you was going to say Barnes and Nobles, but you didn't. Malcolm.
A lot of things do that. We like plurality.
I feel you. Malcolm, thank you for joining us, brother. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
All right,
for sure.
So we're gonna do something I just thought of a bit. So after I've made my way through the book, I'm gonna actually, if you're saying there's things in the book that would like trigger people and make brothers think what they would do. So I'm gonna take those passages and I'm gonna put them in the podcast. And me and Rachel are gonna center the gender wars around passages from the book.
That'd be great.
That's the kind of stuff I like to do, because we like to have the gender wars. And so if there are things in there that we could actually like center around it, we'll put it in the podcast and then like put it on Twitter.
I'll be very curious. It's in the first couple of chapters with Harper. That's Harper's POV. What the debate will be.
I mean, I already think Harper is trifling. So there you go. I'm coming in biased.
I like Harper.
I didn't say
do you want Harper and Jordan to link up?
I don't.
You don't. You might be alone, or very few of the women that are alone. So why not?
I think
he's trifling.
I think people are holding on. Well, and that's not just that he's trifling. I think people are holding on to the past with them, where I left off with them at in the final chapters. I was like, this is beautiful. This is it.
Right.
Let them go be happy and support each other from afar. I think that's a problem, that we fantasize what could be, and then it never turns out to be what you want it to be.
That's funny. I look at it the opposite way. I kind of look at them as ships passing in the night that never got a chance to really play that out the way it was supposed to be. And I look at things like that in life as sort of unfinished
business. Oh,
unfinished business.
Yeah. Unrealized stuff. All right.
I say, you're more of an optimist than me.
That's the chapter. That the first chapter with Harper, and then by the end of Act 1, I want to see those are two I'm be most curious about.
Wow.
Okay.
The debate.
Okay, cool.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, you know what? Donnie, take that little part and put it in there. Leave that in. That's a good tease. Yeah, take that little part and leave it in. All right, thank you, Malcolm.
Thanks, Malcolm.
All right.